I want to do this trade. It's pretty funny to me, but later I realized, okay, I was kind of mistaken, but it was funny to me how I traded this. I laugh at, lately I've been laughing at anything. I don't know why, but I'm trying to make this video fast. Um, Today I traded DCTH. To me, honestly, it was beautiful. I don't fall in love with these stocks, but I think I fall in love with the price action. Um, I fall in love with the way it moves, and that's what makes it beautiful to me. Um, but basically, I traded this stock, and I did my research. I think had it been before I got in, for sure. Um, so I looked at the float. It was between 9 million to 13 million. The news, I incorrectly evaluated the news. I just read the head title, um, and they had released this news like the day before. Excuse me. Um, and in Tim Lento's webinar today, he was just explaining uh, August 15. He was explaining how the news was bullshit and other stuff about the stock was bullshit. I kind of was listening to his webinar with one ear because I arrived late to his webinar because I decided to talk to a friend more than watch the webinar, and that's my fault. But basically, I thought it was a FDA approval, announces approval of this kit for the treatment of adult patients for I don't know how to pronounce this word, unresectable habitic domain. I don't even know what all this shit is. I'm not a good reader, and I'm getting better at it. Approval includes treatment, naive, previous treatment. All in all, he was saying, like when he read into it, he was saying it was a submission for approval or something like that. It wasn't an actual approval. I have yet to read this. I have yet to read this. But he was talking about how they're manipulating the stock. But with me trading it, I just took a look at it. I have yet to subscribe to valuation trackers, but when I start trading better, live money, I'm gonna subscribe to it. And I got to figure out how to write it off. But they said basically the outstanding was 15 million. Here it's pretty much the same too. And then they have $11 million for the next 4 months. They're burning through 6 million for this quarter, so they're just trying to raise some money. But when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, they got warrants at $10 and $3. By the time I was already trading this, it was already past $3. As of July 2019 and 2020. So I'm looking through this. They got another warranty at $3 and purchase for $3.98. When I looked at it, I'm like, okay, its exercise price is at 1 penny, so they can dump this whenever they want. And I just kept looking through it. Okay, they got another one at $4.50 and $6. They're most likely going to be using any one of these, but that was the price that the stock was at. And I've seen these two. And then they had an convertible, which is you can convert more shares than just one. And then they had an ATM, which is they can dump it at any time. So when I was watching this stock, I'm like, okay. And I had to watch that video again. So as I'm watching it, I was watching it like I think I should use this chart. Um, as I'm watching it, pre-market, it wasn't really doing much. When I got to it, it was just consolidating. I was actually very tempted into get into it right before it opened. Um, I was tempted to get into it like right before it opened, but I wasn't sure, and I was like, you know what, Sonny, the smartest thing to do is just play it safe. And when I was like tempted to get into it, it panicked. It panicked down, and then I'm like, okay, I'm trying to enter my order, but I was getting in early because I'm like, it panicked down, held, and wasn't going down any further. So I was like, okay, let me enter my order. And I'm a little uncomfortable with entering this order because it didn't go down much, and it's too early in the market. So if you notice right here, I got in half my dollar amount at half my maximum size amount, which is 5K. My maximum amount is 5K, so I got in half with that, and I got 420 shares at 5.95. I chased it, and the reason why I chased it is because there's no reason I shouldn't be chasing it. But I got in here because I was originally trying to get in here, and I got in here, and it just spiked without me. And I'm like, fuck, fuck, fuck. And what I was doing, I was eating at the time. I woke up hungry. I woke up late. Didn't feel like really getting out of bed. I had those demons attacking me, and I just had to pray them out of my head. And then I started getting my day ready, but I'm like, I'm behind on my day. So I didn't even like, I want to be honest, I didn't even shower or even brush my teeth. I just got on the computer and I said, hey, I'm going to grab some food real quick. And I'm just going to fucking eat. And as I'm eating, market open, it's starting to spike without me. I'm trying to eat and hit the mouse at the same time. Wasn't working, so I'm like, you know what? Let me just shove all this food in my mouth and start hitting buttons. Well, not just start hitting buttons. That's the wrong mindset, but be more focused. So I'm like, okay, I know I can't. I'm not going full size in this. I went half size. Got in right here. Then it just panicked right back down. Let me go back to the full screen. Panicked right back down. And then I got in with the rest of my shares. Because I seen it wasn't breaking that low. So then it held, and I'm like, okay. I said, Sonny, you're in a bad situation right now because it's moving so quickly, and you got in like when there's a lot of volatility, a lot of liquidity. So, which is the first 2 minutes of the day. So I'm like, it's gonna be hard for you to cut your risk because it's gonna move too damn fast, and you might just freeze like a deer in headlights. A deer in front of headlights. And I just went into my thing and I just clicked market order, and I just clicked sell, market order, everything. And I just did that. Afterwards, it just started uptrending. I'm like, okay, let's see what it's gonna do. And I'm like telling myself for like higher day, which is 598, and pre-market high is pretty close to each other. It's like 40 cents away from each other. The way it's moving, this shit's moving fast. It has a lot of volume to it. So I'm like, I don't really want to play higher day. I'm gonna be very patient on this trade. Looking into the, that's not good. You're looking into the yearly chart right here. You see, okay, it has a lot of resistance, but the highest point was, I think, like $8 somewhere, or close to $8. And pre-market highs, like the highest pre-market highs was 722, but relatively too close to my trade, pre-market highs was 634. So I was like, okay, this is pretty close to this high. The open, the market high is close to the pre-market high. So I'm gonna play them close to each other because the way it's moving and how liquid it is, and the way the price action is moving, it's gonna break through this resistance right here. And I'm thinking about the resistance here at 4 a.m. pre-market. I'm like, it probably can go there. I'm just gonna be patient with it. So when it started spiking, I didn't want to really get out because I was just trying to be patient. Because I honestly thought the odds were high enough to break it. And when it went up here, I was up like a couple $100, maybe like my average was like I think 580. So it went up to 622, which is the resistance points here and here. And you see this line here I'm drawing? The resistance points is practically right next to each other. So I'm just like, okay, it's not breaking that point. And I'm like, I'm just gonna give it some time. It looked like it's trying to trap shorts because they're desperate for cash. I can see that. So I'm just being patient. So when it had this pullback right here, I'm like, yeah, it pulled back and it's holding. It's not going down any further and it's holding right here. Excuse me. I'm like, no brainer. This is a trap short. I could see it. Trapping shorts right here, trapping shorts right here. Then I'm like, okay, it had this panic right here and it broke this low point, and I'm like, this is just probably gonna be another trap short. And I patiently waited, and then it had this big panic. I'm like, okay, damn, that's unfortunate, but they didn't want that. Then when it broke lower day, I'm like, fuck. I'm just gonna be patient, try to give it this more time. And then it just kept going down. I was like, you know what, fucking I'm out. Market order that shit. And when I market order it, it just kept going further down. And then I'm giving it time. I'm like, it's 9:45. It should start bouncing here. It may not because it had this spike right here with a lot of volume. So I'm like, I'm gonna give it some time. And then it started perking up. And I'm like, okay, I want to get in at 550. But it already went past 550, and I kind of chased it. Because originally when it pulled back right here, I was trying to get in right here. Then I missed it, and then I got in right here. I wanted to get in at 550 afterwards, or before I got into this entry, but I chased it and I was impatient, and it pulled back. And then I got in. I'm like looking here, I'm like, oh, it would have hit my risk. It would have hit my entry if I would have just been more patient. And I just need to learn to be more patient. So then afterwards, I got in, and it just started perking up. It was consolidating, and then it started perking up. I'm like, okay, it hit VWAP, that's good. It hit VWAP, it's holding, perked up, pulled back, it was doing this ugly shit. I'm like, okay, it's choppy, I don't like the choppiness. Then it had this big spike right here. Like, this is not a misprint, this is an actual spike. And at this point, I was up probably $1,000 overall on the trade from this trade right here, because I lost like 300 something here. I was up like damn near $1,000. And I was like, I should have took that. But I was like, honestly, I'm not trying to take quick gains into this trade because I'm already up right now. And I'm already break even right here. And then when it spiked up here, I'm like, I know this can run further. I can see it. I won't say I know it can. The odds are telling me that. The probability is telling me that this can run further. I have to be careful with my words and not allow myself to get influenced with the wrong thought process. That's why I have to keep correcting myself. But the odds are telling me that it can go even higher, which it did over throughout the day. So then when it panicked right down, I was kind of like upset with myself, like, damn, I should have just sold. I should have just sold. I was right, but I should have just sold. And then it panicked right back down. I'm shocked it didn't get halted, but then again, it didn't really. I don't think it moved 60 cents. Um, it did move more than 60 cents, which is more than 10% of the stock, but it is what it is. So then it started consolidating and literally consolidated for like 45 minutes, bro. Um, I was like a little annoyed, but I just started getting stuff done around the house before I got back to it. So like I was watching it with one eye open. I went to go take a shit. I went to go move my car, get it ready for me to leave. I washed the dishes, but I kept looking at it. Every little task I completed, it was a small task. I just kept watching because I'm like, if I sit here and watch it, I'm just gonna be impatient. And the odds are still telling me it's gonna spike, and it's still above VWAP. I didn't put any stop limit order or nothing because I'm like, just gonna be patient with it because it's choppy. It might just hit my stop limit order, get me out, and then run back up. So I want to do and any stock like that, you should just be extremely low risk and be ready to hit a market order when it's like choppy and it's moving too fast before you can get in and out. You should be having a market order to exit. But I didn't want to hit. I didn't want to have a stop limit order because I'm like, it's choppy, it's moving wild. I just want to do this with a mental trade. I want to have a mental exit. Now, whenever you're trading a stock, and I'm gonna get a little off topic, but whenever you're trading a stock and it's moving all crazy and stuff, that is not the time to have a mental stop because it's a bit dangerous. You should widen your risk and lower your size. Well, lower your size then and widen your risk because whenever you have a stock like this that's choppy, wild moving, it's too fast for you to hit a market order. It's too fast for you to control your risk management. But in this case, I honestly played it differently where I was just like, I'm not in so big. My risk, if I lose again here, I'm going to get out at lower day. If it goes up, I'll be only losing what I've already made. And that was my state of mind. As long as I'm up, I don't really need to worry about hitting a stop limit order. And in this case, I was up. So if it comes back down, break even or take a smaller loss. I don't think it's going to be crazy. It's going to move crazy here unless it has a massive dump, which I know this company needs money by looking at its SECs, and the odds of it going higher were high. So back onto topic. Then after the whole consolidation, it started uptrending, spiking. When it did this little perk up, I'm like, okay, I am now green on this trade. With a good amount, to like $200, and then it spiked here. It spiked here and it was holding up here, and I was like, this can keep rising, but because of my scare here, because I got scared out here, or I experienced this right here, this big spike, followed by a red, followed by coming right back down, this wick. I was like, yeah. It scared me out here. I know it can keep riding, and I want out. So I got out. And I got out for the $300 that I was down plus another $600. So I made like $900 and something dollars. And my exits weren't even that great. Yeah, I sold into strength, but I was trying to sell into like, I think the 80s, 680s, and I ended up selling. I ended up selling at an average of 670, and I was really trying to hit like 680, the highest point of this candlestick. But it's all good though. I made $600. I don't know if I had a plan. I don't know. Yeah, okay, I remember. I'm going to talk about that later. So after that, it pulled back, and I just stopped watching it from there because I was like, I'm done with this trade. I'm not looking to trade it again. So here, after it did this pullback, I started watching it again. I was tempted to trade it in here, but I wasn't sure. I'm like, look at the time of day. It's 1 o'clock. Tim Lentos talking about this trade. Didn't really like it. Um, Kept watching it, perked up, pulled right back down. Still not interested in trading it. Perked back up. It perked up it bounced from $6.08 up to what, $6.40. So that's not enough for me for a $6 stock. Not enough. That's what, 32 cent. You have to be damn near perfect to trade that. So I was like, I don't think it can keep going. Plus, it's 1 o'clock. It would have to consolidate for a little bit, then spike back up. So it never bounced back up, and I'm glad I stayed out of it. Now, while Tim Lento was talking, TTOO he was talking about as well had a big spike, a nice uptrend, and all day there was a lot of dip and rips to play. Honestly, um, there was honestly a lot of dip and rips opportunities. TTOO had its first green day, I think, since it had its pullback or whatever. Oh, I traded this a while ago too. Uh, but it had its first green day or first good day. I don't know. Um, and pre-market open had a nice dip and rip at or around 9:45. It started spiking, perking up. I seen a lot of stocks perking up. I just couldn't focus on them because I won't say GCTH was a bag hold because it honestly wasn't. It was just that um, I understood where it was going, and I wanted to focus on that. I didn't want to focus on every opportunity. So I missed a lot of opportunity, but that's okay. So he brought it to my attention around like 12 o'clock when he started his webinar. So then by the time I was like really watching it, it had did this pullback. He had, before his webinar ended, he was like, "Hey, this is pulling back pretty hard." Um, and then I started watching. I'm like, okay, was watching it as well. I'm like, this is a time to get in to see if it will bounce, but I had no actual support to judge it off of. I didn't really understand how to play it. Plus, it's midday, 1 o'clock. I'm not trying to do that. So I knew it would bounce, but it would bounce just because shorts are covering. It's not bouncing because longs are longing, which I don't care either why it's going up too much. I don't care too much why it's going up, but excuse me. I just seen opportunity. I stayed away from it because I just like that's not the kind of strategy I want to play. Playing a bounce here, um, playing a dip and rip at this time. The odds are shaky to me. I'm not sure. It's more like a 50-50 or less. So I stayed away from it, and then it pulled back here. This was actually a really good bounce, but it pulled back here, and this is where I was really tempted to get into it. Right here, there's still no support there to go off of, but all I knew is if I got into this trade, I'm getting the fuck out once it hits my risk level at the low of this pullback. It broke it just a little bit, but I was watching it. I'm like, man, perfect time to get in. I can see it wanting to bounce. I can see the price action. I can see the odds is wanting to bounce, and I just didn't because I'm like, this is not my strategy. But it made sense because looking back now, it makes complete sense for me to get in. What threw me off was that it was uptrending all day, and then it pulled back, and it was just hitting 2 p.m. And whoever was trading this is now looking at this like whoever's long-term trading this or swinging it or whatever they're doing is looking like, okay, it's 2 o'clock and it's pulling back. I don't want to get back into this trade. That's what I'm thinking, longer thinking. So the odds to me were high, but still I'm like, I can't fuck with it because it's pulling back midday. and not having enough consolidation. So then when, it didn't get enough consolidation in my opinion, so I wasn't willing to trade it, although the odds were high. It started uptrending, and I'm watching it uptrend. It's uptrending, pulling back. I'm like, good opportunity to get in, and I'm missing my entries. And I'm just like, then I asked myself, I'm like, man, what if this goes to high of day? Does this have the odds to go to high of day? I said, if it can continue to hold above this level, for sure it can go past high day. High day was at 59 cent, 59.5950 cent. And I had missed all my entries. I wasn't paying attention enough. I wasn't trying to anticipate it. I wasn't looking at the odds, none of that. And it uptrended and broke past high day. When I went back and looked at it, I'm like, oh shit, it broke past high day. It didn't break past it by much, but it still did. And it finished off strong for the day. So I was like, wow, that was great. So this is like one of the top stocks that are on my watch list for tomorrow, because it's finished off strong, finished near its highs. It might have a massive green spike tomorrow, or it might do a dip and rip, or it might just dump. I don't know. But I'm definitely watching it tomorrow to see how it's going to perform. And I'm linking up with Vanessa tomorrow, so that will be exciting to watch a stock that's doing pretty well tomorrow. So there's a lot of opportunities yesterday, a lot of trades, today. There's a lot of opportunities today. NVOS was, I think it was an opportunity as well, where it spiked right out the gate. But yeah, I remember now, it spiked right out the gate, wasn't giving me no potential signs of bouncing back. I didn't like that. I didn't want to trade it. Then when it was consolidating here, I was like, it could bounce back up, but I didn't like this choppy trend, and getting in right here was just not ideal for me. Having a risk lower day, or this, not even lower day, but this low trend, the lowest point of this trend, and the volatility was just not enough for me, so I stayed away from it. Plus, looking at the yearly chart, all this resistance level has been just batted down, so I didn't want to deal with it. TTOO was good. I was looking at TLSA. I don't think I liked that one. Nah, I didn't like that one watching it. Put it on the 2-minute chart. I didn't like that one watching it. There was another one. There was another stock that I did like, but it ended up failing for the rest of the day. I told myself to write it down so I don't lose it. I don't know. It probably just kept fading for the rest of the day. But there was just so much opportunity, and I missed it. So it is what it is. I really enjoyed this trade because Shasha was the stock, or Shasha. Tashka is a friend of mine. Shasha is just a ratchet name, but Tasha, that's the name of this stock. TSHA. Yeah, this was a stock that was giving a nice bounce. It was giving a nice dip and rip. So it pulled back and then it dipped and ripped. It ripped past market high, but it never got past pre-market high today. And I'm kind of glad I stayed away from it. It did have an opportunity, but I just stayed away from it. And then it didn't have much range, honestly. So that's it for the day.